This is Charlie Parsons for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. Delighted to be joined here with Small Talk founder himself, Mr. Francis Smith. How are we, Frank?
I'm good. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, mate. What was I going to ask you? Are you in Guadalajara or have you stopped off somewhere? Because from kind of seeing your travels on your story, I feel like you can't be there yet.
No, I'm in Guadalajara.
Oh,
I left Manchester yesterday from the press conference. Went back to Heathrow. Got to Heathrow. Flew into Mexico City. 3.5 hours in the airport of Mexico City, and now I'm here.
what time did you get there?
7:30 a.m.
Oh, and you ain't slept.
No,
Of course you ain't. This man can handle jet lag like no one else. In fact, he doesn't believe in jet lag.
it's not real. It's all in the mind.
That I semi agree with. Depends how you fly.
Yeah.
Right, victory this morning in Japan for Sugar Nunez. I was actually watching the fight with my pal having a coffee. It was a very good fight. Some of the cards are a little bit close, but I suppose it is in his backyard. You can kind of expect that at times. But the Road Warrior does it again. Tajikistan last time I think it was for a final eliminator. What's the plan now?
Unbelievable win. Like you say, he's been back to back. He won that final eliminator, went to Tajikistan for that fight, then Japan to fight Rikishi. And what a performance from him. He looked spectacular. He did not stop throwing punches throughout the 12 rounds. Yeah, I think maybe one or two of the cards were a bit, you know, too close, but the key is he got the win. He went in his backyard and he got the win. And now there's big fights to be made for him. He's waited a long time for that shot. When you think because he stepped aside at certain points, he obviously stepped aside to allow the Warrington Kakachi fight back in September. Um, and then obviously he was supposed to fight Kakachi. Kakachi withdrew, thought Lee would. So he finally got his opportunity and he took it. And what a performance. He's got so much, so many more opportunities now to look forward to. Great win.
Is the Kakachi fight? I saw Colm grilling Eddie on it earlier on social media. Is that a reality at all?
I mean, anything's possible, isn't it? But the reality is Kakachi withdrew from fighting him. So, you know, he had the
Probably for
chance
a
to.
bigger financial opportunity against Lee Wood, no?
Yeah, but obviously you had his belt. If he believed he could beat him, he would have retained his belt, wouldn't he? If he believed he could have beaten Sugar Nunez,
But
he
you
wouldn't
guys
have.
know it's a business, isn't it? If you've got a better
Yeah,
business opportunity elsewhere, then
yeah, but then at the same time, if you've stepped away from taking a fight against someone and giving up your belt, then you can't expect to just jump straight back in and get that chance. But I'm not saying the fight isn't possible. Anything's possible. But Nunez is in a great position right now. He's going to have his chance going. There's lots of fights for him. One that's been spoken about is Ray Ford as well. Another one of our guys is a potential. So lots of opportunities for him.
do you look at kind of? I know the numbers from speaking to yourselves and people at DAZN, the viewership on the Mexican shows that you guys put on's really strong. Do you kind of see that and kind of what he's done on the road and kind of look at building him up in Mexico now?
Yeah, possibly. You could bring him back to Mexico or obviously in the US as well. He's a huge market. We've obviously look we've seen with Canelo over the years fighting in the US. Same with Jaime Munguia. So either Mexico or the US, or if there's an international opportunity as well. It could be that Saudi Arabia come in for a big fight with a performance like he put in tonight. Everyone's going to be looking to do something with him. So I think take some rest now and then aim to get back out. September, October time.
What can fight fans expect to see in Guadalajara this week, Francis?
I mean, if you watch the first fight between the two headlining this, Khalilko and Manuel Gallegos, you'll remember, you know, just an absolute 10-round tear up where Khalilko kept on coming back, and this is his opportunity. But Gallegos is going to be very confident. Khalil was someone we, believed in, invested in, and still believe has a lot of potential. But he's got a tough test here, and he's jumping straight back in the deep end, straight back in the rematch against Gallegos in a brilliant fight. MJ Medvedev as well, obviously in the interim before his fight against Inoue. So he'll fight Inoue in September. This is a warm-up fight for him, but it's good to see him back out in the ring and a couple of local scraps as well. So it's going to be a good Mexican card. These ones always deliver. I'm looking forward to it.
Couple of local scraps. I absolutely love
Couple of local scraps. Did you like that?
that. Yeah. Caterham Eubank announced Sam Jones backing out the monocle.
It doesn't suit him, does it?
No, I have. I mean, to be fair, right? I don't think the monocle does suit many people other than senior. I certainly don't think I could pull off a monocle.
I think for the actual press conference, he's talking about coming in the joggers, like the horse riding trousers that he wears as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's
It's
coming
not
full
going to his
hog.
head then.
This is Sam. This is Sam, by the way, not senior.
Yeah, I know. Mental. Good to see it's not going to his head.
Who's Sam?
Yeah.
Look, he's entertainment, isn't he? You got to love Sam Jones. You got to take him with a pinch of salt. Um, he he does a lot of talking for the fighters as well, and some fighters need that as well. Sam is a big character in his own right, so don't take everything too seriously. That's what I'd say.
I'm not taking it seriously. I love
Not
Frank.
you, not you, not you. I'm not saying you are.
Ah,
Yeah,
got you.
just
Yeah, but
in
you can't
general.
can't always read all of the bullshit. I know Sam kind of grilled you yesterday. It's a little bit similar. It's like a I don't want to say smaller version of Eubank Ben, but kind of I know you've always been really close with Harlem. You've never worked with him promotionally, but I've seen you with him on a number of occasions externally. I know you'll go and visit him at York Hall when he's fighting, to watch him. Is it a bit of a double-edged sword again for you?
No, it goes back to the same thing. Look, I have a much closer relationship with Harlem than, being honest, I do with Chris. Um, I know I've always helped Harlem where I could when it came to boxing, contract, whatever I could help him with, I have, because ultimately he's family. And I would help him wherever I can. When it comes to this kind of stuff, though, it goes back to the point I made before. I'm not the one getting in the ring. I'm not the one training them to beat each other. My job is to put on shows and put on the best possible fights. And I think this is a tremendous fight. I think this is a fight that people are going to buy into and enjoy. So, when it comes to my part, it's putting on fights that, people look forward to. And that's what we've got. Beyond that, my involvement is irrelevant in a sense of, the fight itself. So the best man will win and I'm looking forward to it. And it's just about delivering the best possible opportunities. I think this is the best fight for Jack Catterall right now, and I think it's the best fight for Harlem Eubank. And if I represented Harlem Eubank, I'd say the same. That's not just my opinion, not representing him, but that would be my opinion even if I did.
I think Jack and yourselves deserve a lot of credit. Obviously, he suffered with that inactivity and period where he was kind of all over the shop promotionally, and then Simon with
He
you.
was messed around. Yeah.
We've needed big events in the UK, and he has been a big figure in doing that in the last couple of fights he's had at the UK in the UK. I'm sure he'll always want those opportunities on the road and everything, but important with British boxing to have Jack Cuttrell delivering for the product.
Yeah, I also think, like I saw Simon Jordan talking about he should have had a world title shot. The reality is Jack's made the right decisions in his career, especially over the last 18 months, 2 years of being with us, because he's taken fights. How many times have we seen fighters sit around idle, not boxing, fighting once a year? That's what he'd had in his career prior, you know, and that was the to the detriment of his career. Jack Catterall took fights, whether it was Linares, whether it was Prograis, whether it was Barboza, Josh Taylor as well, brilliant fight, packed out, sold out venue. You know, he took fights and he took real fights. And, you can sit there and say, should he have waited around for a world title? What if he waited around another 12, 16, 18 months and the fight didn't come? He's just back in the same position. The reality is with Jack, I think he's made the right decisions by taking fights. And the reality with this fight as well is when we spoke about making it, within 3 days, the fight was made. It was two guys who want to fight, and you have to respect that because you don't always see that in this business.
Out of curiosity, and I met Simon Jordan recently, and I think he kind of is as he comes across. I think sometimes he says things to almost create a bit of controversy and spark. Um, but I didn't dislike him as such. What do you make of him? Do you agree? Is he just saying things sometimes to almost be a little bit like devil's advocate? I don't even know if it is devil's advocate half the time.
I don't know him to like him or dislike him. I listen to what he says on the radio. I don't agree with a lot of the things he says, but he's very good at what he does, isn't he? In reality, that's his job. His job is to get people listening, and he's a great talker. But at the same time, a lot of the things he says are inaccurate. And he doesn't understand boxing like he understands football. I can go and talk to him about football with the knowledge he has in football, for example, because I don't understand it. I don't understand the business of it. Sometimes his, opinion on things is like it's fact, and the way he presents things are like they're fact, when actually they're opinions. And again, we can all have opinions, but sometimes you need to have a better understanding of the industry or what's going on to, for the way he speaks it. But look, he's very good at what he does. Like I said, I don't know him. I've never met him. I don't think. Actually, no, I met him once. I met him once at a weigh-in. But yeah, I can't say too much else. Maybe if I meet him and spend a bit of time with him, I'll let you know more.
Hearn's had his back and forths with Billy Nelson, as is Frank Warren at the minute over this whole Moses Atalma fight. Is Martin Bakoli one of the most kind of? I know at the minute he was up here and then he took that fight and now he's kind of his stock's dropped a little bit after the recent performance and obviously certain issues with weight and stuff like that. But for a geezer who never really says anything in interviews, he certainly manages to stay relevant all the time. What have you made of this whole sort of Frank Warren, Moses Atalma, Martin Bakoli type stuff?
I've only seen bits of it. Look, I don't understand, and I don't dislike Martin Bakoli, by the way. We worked with him for a while, but the reality is he doesn't have the commercial profile for you to get much out of the fight, in all honesty, in my opinion. So if you're representing Moses Atalma or Moses Atalma, why would you fight Martin Bakoli? It's kind of like I thought that when he fought Jared Anderson. I was thinking Jared Anderson was on a great run. Why Martin Bakoli? Because he doesn't really do anything for you.
Hmm.
Because for the most part, people are going, "Who is Martin Bakoli?" No disrespect to him, and it's happened to a lot of fighters over the years who are good fighters, but what do I get out of fighting you? Unless you've got a belt or unless you work your way into a mandatory position. And I think he hasn't really done himself any good in the last few fights, in all honesty. When you look at the Ajagba fight, he didn't look like he was fit, didn't look like he was ready for. And I think the truth is you have to be as an elite athlete. You can have off nights, you can have nights where you don't perform, yes, just like in any sport. But I think you have to go in there have given it 100%. And I don't think he did that necessarily in the Jagba fight. Obviously, the Joseph Parker fight. I understand the Joseph Parker fight. I'm not questioning the Joseph Parker fight. But I think the Jagba fight was a bit, you know, the weight. It didn't look like he'd really given it 100%.
When I look at Martin Bakoli, and this is away from kind of Billy Nelson and all the training aspect and everything that comes with that, put all that to one side. I remember seeing him the day after the Joseph Parker fight. We were in the same hotel as him, and he bowled in right with all these Gucci bags. He's clearly come from nothing. He's come from Kinshasa, Congo. You maybe think like a little bit like what's in it for him? I mean, he'll still get the opportunities now, but unless he himself is really, really driven we won't see maybe what we could have expected before from Martin Bakoli.
Look, I think he's the only one who can tell you that, isn't he? Like if he if he wants to take it seriously and focus on it, then he's very dangerous. But at the same time, he had his opportunity, I feel, in those fights, especially the Jag. Again, you go back to the Joseph Parker fight. I don't think you can really judge much on that. I think you can judge, right? You can say respect to Joseph Parker and respect to Bakoli for getting in the ring. Um, but I don't think you can judge much off that performance because he came in and turned up at 3 a.m. in the morning or something, you know. But I think he had his chance with the Ajagba fight. That's my opinion. If he would have turned up and performed, then you could have shouted from the rooftops. But he didn't, you know. And like I say, it, you're not always going to have your best night, like in any sport. You're not always going to perform to the best, but you have to put yourself in a position from a training perspective to be able to do so. And I don't believe, and I think that's a lot of people's view that he did that.
Brian Norman hit back at Matchroom saying that you were downplaying, well, not you, but Matchroom were downplaying him and his team. He was offered 750,000 initially. Stanionis' first offer was 1.5 million, and apparently Mario Barrios got even more than that offered first time. He said it's not good business, and you're not even trying to make the fight. What's your reaction to that?
Look, he got offered an absolute fortune for the fight. I think he was making 250 grand in his defenses before. Um, the reality is, fighters should make as much money as possible. It's a dangerous sport. It's a hard business, but at the same time, it has to align with your value. And Brian Norman doesn't sell. You're talking about Boots, who sells and has sold 15, 12, 10,000 tickets across the last three fights. No one does that in the US, you know. And the reality is, you get paid the value of what you deliver. And, but he got a huge offer. He got a massive offer, multiple times more than he's ever made in his career. Is what it is, He doesn't have to take it, but um, sometimes the opportunity's there, and sometimes you miss it. And I think this might be an occasion he's missed it because I don't see him making that kind of money in any other fights right now.
I can't believe, as of the 28th of May 2025, that Dave Allen versus Deontay Wilder is being discussed. I don't hate it, but I just think if someone said that to you like even a year ago or 2 years ago, you kind of would have just laughed at them. Um,
I was quite surprised when he said it. Yes, it was the first time I'd heard it. But
I've seen
what a mad,
it online, to be fair.
yeah, but what a mad sport we're in. And I will be the first to say, and I said it yesterday, 2 years ago, or maybe whenever it was, when we were talking about Dave Allen, taking, I personally said I don't think we should do it. Right? I didn't think Dave Allen should box again at that point. Happy to be proven wrong because he's one of the nicest guys you can meet, but I don't think his head was in it like it is now. I don't think he was in a place like he is now. Um, and look, he set himself up for some massive fights. And boxing, but especially heavyweight boxing, is unlike anything else. How many people get written off in their career and then come back? Zhilei Zhang's a perfect example as well. Saying it, maybe a higher level to date than Dave Allen, but Zhilei Zhang was written off, and look what he came back to do. Look at Derek Chisora, close friend of mine outside of the business. I said to him, I think you should retire. Look at what he's gone on to do. So, I think it's a mad, mad sport, but it's a mad sport in the heavyweight division, especially where anything can happen. And yeah, I mean, would we have said 3, 4, 5 years ago that fight? Absolutely not, mate. But anything is possible. Deontay Wilder's got his comeback fight, I think, in Kansas, in Wichita. Not sure when that is. I think it might be next month. And then we go from there. But look, Dave Allen, we've got to deliver Dave Allen the best possible opportunities
Sorry, I was just box wrecking. How did you know it was in Wichita?
because we did a show in the same casino in Wichita in Kansas many years ago.
What show was that?
I know Nico Hernandez was on it because he's from there.
What goes on in Wichita? Sorry, this is a proper side quest, but I didn't
Do you
even.
know there's a song, I'm going to Wichita? There's one of the songs, a very famous song. If you Google I'm going to Wichita song,
Going to Wichita song lyrics. Here we go. Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
so it does.
yeah.
Ah, what?
And
Sorry,
there's a
I'm
and
baffled.
there's a casino there as well.
What goes on there? I mean, I'm sure you've got a site feed to stage an event, but like, what was the gaff like as a whole? Would you return?
I loved it, mate. I loved Wichita. I mean, I wouldn't go back on holiday,
No.
um, but great place. I might even go for Deontay's comeback fight.
It's not very convincing, Francis, unfortunately. Johnny Fisher, what is next for him? I imagine you guys will stick by him, and I suppose it's a rematch.
100%.
When he turned over, it was a matter of I don't know what winning an English or a British. I would love to see him do that as a friend. Um, Maybe in hindsight that the rematch was probably a bit much, bit soon, but I suppose also Johnny wanted to strike while the iron was hot. How do you look at it?
Yeah, look, 100% will stick by him. You forget like Johnny Fisher's 26 years old. Like to think of what he's done already in his career, and also a lot of people never thought he'd get to that place in his career. They thought he was just a big ticket seller, and that was it. You know, it is a rebuild now. We have to sit down, plan what's next, work with him to get the best route possible back to the top of where he can be. Um, so we'll see. We'll do that in time. Obviously, he's taking a rest now. He's on holiday, but yeah, 100% we're behind him, and looking forward to what the future holds. Like I say, there's so many fighters who don't take fights and don't take chances. He wanted to go straight back in there and prove himself. Um, and he got caught, he got beat, but that shouldn't define you. What should define you is taking fights and giving it your everything. And that's where boxing needs to change. And I think it is. I think people are coming around to the fact of it's about watching fighters that are going to give it their all, not necessarily just a fighter who's got no no loss on their record. We want to see real fights, and that's what Johnny Fisher gave us. So yeah, 100% we're behind him. We'll make a plan and go from there.
Eddie Hearn revealed that Anthony Joshua is in talks with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh regarding a two-fight deal with Riyadh season. Do we know when we'll next see him out?
He's obviously had that minor surgery he spoke about in the various interviews back in Saudi a few weeks back. So get that rehabbed, and as soon as he's back and ready, I'd guess latter part of this year. But he'll just have to. You would have seen on clips he's been punching with his right hand or left hand. I can't remember. I can't remember off the top of my head. You'll see it. He's got his some kind of brace on his other arm. So as soon as he can get back punching, then we'll make a plan of what's next.
I saw him put up a story. I think he must have been watching White Fury, no, Fury White or Fury Chisora, one of the two. And it was a picture of Fury in the corner, basically a little quote saying one day they will be facing off. I'm sick of asking this question, to be honest, but have you had anything from the Fury camp? I mean, he bit on a couple of the Stomping Ground posts about the U6 stuff, saying that he was going to batter him in England, and then it was kind of now he's in late Como and he's not going to retire. I never really know. Do you know?
I was with him for a bit in Monaco actually for a
Right.
couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah, he very entertaining.
Did you
Um,
enjoy spending time with him?
was that?
Is it like the first time you properly spent time with him?
Yeah, yeah, probably, yeah. But got on well with him, good guy. And who knows? Like you said, you're sick and tired of asking the question.
Yeah, but you must have asked something or said something.
Not really, because what? It's not.
No, I
He's
get it.
not going to go. Yeah, I'll come back, mate. Sweet. You know, I think
But
he will feel like he's done everything in his career he wanted to do. If you look back and if he chooses this to be his final retirement, fair play. I hope it's not. I hope that we get to see the fight. That's the fight we want to make. It's the fight people want to see, but only two men can decide that ultimately. And I think AJ's up for it, but Fury currently, as he says, is retired. So let's see.
bit of a random one for you. Delicious Ori announced his retirement
Hmm.
after one professional fight. Now, I remember initially he was potentially going to go down the WWE route, and that was going to stop him from turning pro. I know people were a little bit critical of his pro debut, but almost, I mean, he put out some of the reasons saying he just didn't have the love for it. I mean, I think it's quite an admirable thing to do. I just wondered your kind of thoughts on all of that.
He's retired undefeated. Not a lot of fighters do it. No, look, I met Delicious. When was it? Probably 6 months ago, something like that. And I've spent a bit of time around him. He's been at events. Lovely guy, very intelligent guy. Obviously doing his degree as well. Um, yeah, respect to him because it would have been, I guess, a very hard decision to make. And if your head's not in it, especially in a sport like boxing, you know, it's best to not be in it. So respect to him and fair play because it wouldn't have been easy for him to do that. And best of luck in whatever he goes on to do next.
Out of curiosity, I just want to get your thoughts on Moses Atauma. I think he's an absolutely sensational um, sort of prospect. I suppose the lingering element in everyone's minds is he's obviously not been chin checked, really. Now, I thought the Dempsey McKean win was fantastic, especially so emphatically and early, given how long Hrgovic went with Dempsey McKean. Um, kind of, I know it doesn't really affect you or whatever. He's with Frank Warren and managed by Francis, but what's your thoughts? Is he the future?
Look, he's a brilliant fighter. He's 20 years old and he's doing everything asked of him. So, people say, has he been chin checked, like you said there? I mean, ultimately, that only comes when you get caught with a big shot. And that is the reality of heavyweight boxing is at some point you're going to get caught with a big shot. And can he take it? Right now, he's proving that, he's the real deal. It's a long way to go. As we always say, heavyweight boxing is unlike anything else. But he's doing everything right. And, he seems to, in every fight where people say, well, it's going to be a different one, a difficult one, sorry, like Dempsey McKean. Was it Marius Wack as well? He boxed. People thought they'd take him some rounds and he's shown how good he is. And it's good for the sport, whether we promote him or someone, in this instance, Frank Warren, it's about having great fighters, for people to tune into. And that's what you got with Moses Tama. So, yeah, long may it continue and the best of luck to him.
Uh, I believe the deal with Matchroom Boxing and DAZN, when it was initially done, went through till 2026, which is next year. I believe Eddie has a stake in DAZN or whatever. I don't really understand to the full extent, but do you guys expect to renew?
Yeah, we're working through everything now. I fully expect to keep going on the great partnership we built. We made a big move to DAZN back in 2021 in the UK, but before that, in 2018, 2019, we started in the US because we believed in the platform. And right now, it's the home of boxing. We believe we're the leading boxing promoter globally, and excited about what the future holds. So everything's moving in a good direction.
All right, Francis, thank you very much as always for your time. A non-boxing one. What grinds your gears at the minute in life?
What annoys me,
Yeah.
people on the aeroplane who don't wear headphones and
What?
play stuff out loud.
Oh, yeah, that's just bad etiquette, though.
Criminal.
Bad etiquette.
Should be some kind of law against it. I don't understand. Yeah, that now that pisses me off.
Struggle.
Um,
In,
you know
in,
what else? You know what else? When you get off the plane and it's like let each row get off. Someone who just walks past. It's like, mate, it's you can see the process one by one. So yeah, they're my two things right now. But to be honest, if they're the worst of my worries,
so if you catch yourselves on a business class or first class flight situated within Frank Smith's radius, have some aeroplane etiquette.
I just feel like buy some headphones.
I agree. Or
Yeah.
but could you not, on the other hand, put noise cancelling on? Not making it okay for the other person, but I'm saying you can kind of eliminate the struggle
To be
there.
honest, I get on the plane. I don't really watch anything. I just like either just sit there like this and
Do you?
do work. Yeah, I
Work.
don't. Yeah, I'm a bit weird like that. And then I'll just sit there and I'll be like, right, 3 hours to go. Well, let's just see how long we can sit here for and sort of do nothing.
So you raw dog your flights.
Try to, yeah.
Fair play. All right, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks very much for your time as always. Have a lovely time in Guadalajara. The weather's gone a bit.
Thanks, Charles.
I'm sure it's better than in the UK.